Richard Vitale, my rank at the time, when I left the USS America, was a Lieutenant JG. It was interesting, if I can just back up a moment, when I was a cadet, Naval Aviation cadet, and when I saw my first ship, the trainer, it was the USS Antietam at that time. It was interesting because there's different types of catapults. At that time, there was no such thing as a steam catapult. It was a hydraulic catapult. And a hydraulic catapult, the first 50 to 100 feet, that was the stroke. And then it just coasted the rest of the way. So you can imagine this thing slammed you like you can't believe. I mean, you put your head back and then it fired the catapult and it was like, whoa. And with the steam catapult, it was this continuous acceleration, quite a different experience. Well, coincidentally, when we went out as cadets on our first carrier qualification out of Pensacola as students, we went out to the ship, four-plane formation, all students with an instructor and another airplane to observe. And I drew the luck of the draw. They had told us that one of us would be the 2,000th student to qualify on the ship. So we had to do a couple of touch and goes where we landed without tail hooks up, so touched down on the, just to know what it felt like to touch down on the ship, go around, do it again, and then we did traps, 3 of those. And a trap meant that we got the tail hook would catch, we come to a full stop, taxi to the catapult, and go off again. Well, we did that, and on route back to Pensacola, I get a call. It was my call sign, and they said, "Return to the ship. You're the 2,000th student to qualify." Well, by the time I turned around, came back all by myself, and I landed, and all the sailors were there, looking all, and son of a gun, didn't expect to get off, so I taxied over and saying, "What am I supposed to do here? I'll just follow the guy with the yellow shirt." And he told me when to shut the engine down by signaling. And then I climb out and I look, and there's I think it was about a 6-foot by 4-foot sheet cake saying, "Welcome aboard to the 2,000 student NAVCAD Vitale," with my name on it. Mm-hmm. And I said, what a thrill, for a kid, at that time. So that was an experience. But then when I went out with the A4, the A4 Skyhawk, that was different. Because now I'm in a combatant airplane, a fully qualified naval aviator. And it was just a thrill to land aboard the ship. It's just, wow, this is really something. I'm going to be living on this thing for quite a few months. We did a lot of training. I never got to see combat. I didn't miss that. I did a lot of. I dropped bombs on targets. So I didn't get to actually do it in a combat situation. But I think the biggest thrill, or if you can call it a thrill, because it was scary, is night landings on an aircraft. First time we went out and got night qualified. Luckily, the ski was pretty smooth, but it's dark. You're flying strictly instruments, and they have air traffic controllers telling you what headings to turn to. So you're just a black. And then all of a sudden, you turn on final approach. They tell you on final approach, and then you look out there and you see what they call the meatball. You can see the wake of the ship because there's phosphorescence. You can see that in the distance as you're descending on what they call the glide slope, as you're descending towards the runway or the deck. And to the left of that is there's a thing called, it's a Fresnel lens. It's a vertical lens, and it has another a horizontal bar. Now the lens is a series of lights, but it looks like a single light. And if you're right on, they call it, when you turn finally, you say, "I've got the ball." They're talking about that little ball of light. When it's lined up with the green datum lines, the horizontal lights, okay, then you're on a perfect glide slope down to the deck, and the thing is to stay on that. So as far as precision flying, it's precision. It's all outside the cockpit. And there's a landing signal officer. The guy in the old days used to be the paddles. He used to stand there with the paddles. Well, he's still there, and he's got a radio. And he can talk to you, okay, and he can see things that you don't recognize. What's interesting, on the landing gear, there's a series of lights. That's what he's looking at, and that tells him the angle of attack. He can tell you if you're slow or fast by those lights. There's a green, yellow, and red. If you're red, you're getting too slow. Green, you're going too fast. And yellow, you're right on. It's that type of lighting system. So he's watching that, and he's watching your angle as you're coming down as far as the deck. Later on, I'll tell you what his real purpose is in a high, rough sea. And he comes in, and he watches, and he watches, and he watches. And if he sees you, he can tell if you're slowing down because he can see the light change. And he'll go, power. And the thing is, you got to know what he means by that. You know, you got to respond with power. You got to change the nose position. I mean, it's very technical, but it's very critical that you do it because everything is so narrow. You can't make an error. And when you land on a carrier, not so when you land on a normal airplane or any airplane at an airport, you flare. They call it flare. You pull the nose up and you put it on. You get a nice smooth landing. Here, you keep coming down until you hit the deck. You never change. So you smash into the deck. So you imagine the landing gear, how powerful that is, so it doesn't break the wing. So you literally, you just come down, you come down, you come down, and you're looking, and you've got to stake your eye on, keep your eye on that ball. So what happens as you come across the back of the ship, the ball looks like it shoots to the left, because you're going by it. So it goes to the left, boom, that's when you hit the deck. You're still looking at it, because you just go crash, boom. It's a literally controlled crash onto the deck. Tail hook slides along, grabs a wire, and then it holds the airplane from continuing, and you stop. And then what happens, you don't touch the brakes, the plane will roll back slightly because the cable has tension on it. And the cable, if it will drop off, or there was a crazy sailor would go over with a hook. And everybody thought, anybody who did their job had to be a little cuckoo. Because you have run behind this airplane, it's rolling back, it's got this huge cable, and it's hung up in and it looks like it looks like a hoof of a horse. I mean, it's that shape. Sometimes it hangs up. So he has to go get a big hook and yank it off. And then jump so it doesn't cut his legs off. I mean, it's like, this is what's going on the deck. And continually, you can imagine all day long, this guy with the hook, right? And then you look over and there's a yellow shirt. Everybody had colored shirts, and that was the job they did. And he starts giving you signals, and it goes fast. It goes like this real because the guy right behind you. You got to get out of there. So you taxi off, and then they were amazing. Just, again, kids, 19, 18, 17, 19, just a handful were like 20 years old. And they're amazing job that those kids did. And one mistake, and you can kill a lot of people on a flight thing. So they would taxi you off, and they'd put you in a position, either tax forward, get more fuel, take off, depending on what particular thing you were doing at the moment. Or they bring you to a parking area and shut down. So that was it. That was that continuous thing. The bad thing, or the most difficult thing, was at night. Of course, at night, you don't have any depth perception whatsoever. And at night, with a pitching deck, where because of the ocean, it's pitching up and down. So you can imagine, the deck is doing this, okay, and you're coming in. That's where the LSO really comes in, because what he has to do, as he's watching you, you have to touch down on the deck when the deck's going down. And he has to judge it so that he says, okay, you're there, the deck is here, you're there, the deck is there. No, when he gets here, the deck's going to be on the way up. Go around. Because with the deck coming up and you coming down, you could bust the airplane. You can knock the gear right off. Just drive the gear right through the wings. And he has to make that judgment. He's there, he's over here, okay, go good, go around. He has a big button. The red ball, all the lights go red. This makes a big red, it's like a cross, and it's red, bang, and he says, go around, go around, go around. And then you go full power and you go around. Even that technique is critical. Normally you just pull the nose up and you fly up. You don't want to do that on a carrier aircraft, because if you rotate the nose and climb, what happens is the tail will drop, obviously, when you pull the nose up. Well, what's at the end of the tail? Tail hook. And I saw an in-flight engagement on the America one day. It was a big bomber, what they call an A3. And I was in primary in the control tower where their boss is. And I'm looking at this big monster coming in, and all of a sudden he goes down, and the boss says, no! And I, being a young fledgling, the new pilot, more or less, and then he says, no, no, no. And I said, oh. What happened, he pulled the nose up, it dropped the tail so low it hooked the cable. Now this is a monstrous airplane, it's real huge. Went nowhere. And it stopped, but now it's like 20 feet in the air. Straight down. Smash. And we saw the pilot go like this. And it's an airplane that has 4 pilots, there's a bombardier, navigator, and stuff. And we thought he broke his back because he was unconscious. You saw him slow over. So they ran over immediately over the canopy and got him out. And he just was knocked unconscious. He had no permanent damage at all. It was scary to watch that big monster. You think the cable would break or something? It stopped. It came down. So that was something I've never seen before. So, but on the Roosevelt, we lost one of our members of our crew, one of our, in my squadron. He had what they call a cold cat, which is extremely rare. And what happened was, as it was going down the catapult, about halfway through the stroke, it lost the steam. So it didn't have enough speed to get off the end, so it threw him in the water. And he was killed. It went into the water. If he didn't have a chance to eject it, boom, and ran him over the top of him and found him behind the ship. So I lost him. So occasionally it's, you lose somebody, and it's unfortunately some training. And I saw just one of those happen at one time. But the training is intense. You're training constantly. It's an interesting job. It's exciting. It's exciting doing a poker ship.